unanswered questions about Freddy motherfucking Krueger
And
about Jason Voorhees. Number 1.
what major event happened in Springwood 4 years ago? And
Number 2.
does this tie into Freddy's dead? And
Number 3.
did Laurie's dad, Dr. Campbell, defeat Freddy? This is a long one. Buckle up. Here we are. The biggest crossover in horror history. It's been a long time coming, connecting these films. There's a bunch of mystery regarding continuity of both franchises, respectively, and how they tie in with each other. But this film alone creates the biggest mystery of all. How was Freddy active after Freddy's dead? And what major massacre occurred 4 years ago? The major selling point of this event that happened 4 years ago mainly revolves around Laurie and the suspicious death of her mother. But that fleshes out later on in the movie. But I think this mystery actually starts with Mark, when he's talking to Will when they're locked up in Weston Hills. We see some of this dialogue after Will sees the murder that happened at 1428 on the television, on the news.
That was Laurie's house. Is there something about a murder?
I do miss my family, man. I mean, it's been 4 years since I've seen them, you know.
So this is our first clue of 4 years ago, huh? Now if we do the math here, if this movie takes place in cinematic real time, this should be 2003. So 4 years ago would have been 1999, the same year as Freddy's dead. The reason we know this is true is because in Nightmare 5, they are graduating the class of 1989, and Freddy's dead takes place 10 years later. So where the hell was Mark during these events? If you pay close attention to the dialogue, Mark already had first-hand experience with Freddy.
Back to Springwood? Do you want me to start having nightmares again?
Start with that dream demon shit.
To add to this, Mark's brother also had experience with Freddy, but he got.
My brother said it's our fear that gives him his power.
January 18th. That's the day my brother committed.
Unaliveness.
Why isn't that in here?
Now honestly, Mark and his brother's angle is a lot more interesting to me than Laurie and her mother's. Because we know what happened with Laurie. The movie tells us. But despite his small role in this film, Mark's character is the biggest mystery, revelation, and conduit for any of these answers. I mean, this is huge. Think about it. Mark knew about Freddy, had prior experience with him. He was the only one left in Springwood who knew about Freddy that wasn't an adult. Laurie doesn't, Will doesn't, nobody at the school does, nobody at the party does. But yet Mark had experience with him and his brother. And he actually got saved by going to Weston Hills. I mean, Mark was one of the lucky ones. He survived Freddy. Even the comatose kids at the D-Wing at Weston Hills couldn't catch a break. Mark is the oddball out. He's the guru of this whole thing.
I think Mark was right. There's some kind of cover-up going on here with Krueger. We gotta get to Mark. He's the expert in all of this. He'll know what's going on.
Mark knew about Freddy's backstory. He even knew about the town's cover-up.
Look at all these blacked out obituaries. They covered him up, Will. They never told us about Freddy because that's how they decided to beat him.
So Mark is the last link to bridge whatever gap we have between 1999, Freddy's dead, and present day 2003, Freddy vs. Jason. I also want to add the point that Freddy vs. Jason directly mentions Freddy's dead in the opening sequence with Freddy's monologue. So yes, Freddy's dead is canon. You know, speaking of Weston Hills, remind me to do that video, by the way, on Weston Hills. This is going to be a 3-hour video. But that also means that this hospital was still active in 1999 because that's the year Will and Mark got committed. Which means Weston Hills was active during Freddy's dead, which is baffling to me. Continuing on with Weston Hills, we have to talk about Laurie's dad. Dr. Campbell was responsible for committing Will to Weston Hills.
You can't trust him, Laurie. He was the one who had me committed.
So was Laurie's dad the secret savior? Hear me out. Now that we know of Mark's underlying mysterious backstory, let's move on to Laurie's real quick. Now I won't rehash what is told in the film too much, but we find out that it was Freddy that actually killed Laurie's mother, not her dad, not Dr. Campbell.
He killed my mother, Will. It was Freddy. My dad covered it up to protect me. He didn't do it.
So Dr. Campbell is the last known person to fight Freddy. And I guess he won? Because after that, Freddy goes dormant, and he isn't strong enough to invade people's dreams or murder anybody. He went limp dick. And with the information this film tells us, there is no other survivor that can be credited to Freddy's defeat except for Dr. Campbell. He was the last one to fight Freddy. It wasn't Mark. He got sent to Weston Hills. It wasn't Mark's brother. He got... wasn't Will. He didn't even know about Freddy. Nor did the other kids. Laurie, Kia, Gib, Blake, Trey. None of them. Nobody. So based off this information, my theory is that he fought Freddy and won somehow. I also don't know why Freddy was going after Laurie's mom instead of the other teenagers in Springwood, but whatever. After that, Dr. Campbell commits Will for witnessing it, and then commits every other kid in Springwood that knows about Freddy, which is hella fucked up. But in order to save Laurie, he does it.
They locked up all the kids who made contact with him so they wouldn't infect the others.
This is D-Wing. These are the ones who wouldn't stop dreaming.
So Dr. Campbell committed these poor little kids, drugged them up with too much Hypnocil, and now they're forever comatose. That's fucked. He had good intentions, but he fucked up. Man, that's dark. So the other parents come in, talks with the local PD, and decide to cover up Freddy and all of the history behind it.
Bullshit, I heard some guy Krueger killed them both. Said his name to my parents, they almost shit themselves.
1428 Elm. It's gotta be him. It's gotta be Freddy Krueger. Hey.
So that includes murders, obituaries, Freddy's backstory. Nobody says his name out loud, making sure no outside law enforcement gets involved, like the FBI.
Now I want 24-hour roadblocks set up. Nobody leaves town, nobody gets in.
Sir, shouldn't we have the FBI come in and...
No outsiders, Stubbs. We can handle this.
They had the town on lock, literally. But all in all, I do think Dr. Campbell is that guy. The one who mysteriously defeated Freddy and was the mastermind of making the town forget Freddy, including committing every single kid who knew Freddy's name. And don't kill him, just put him in a coma. I mean, the sheriff even goes to him for an update. This ironically plants who has the real authority here. It's Dr. Campbell. He's the man in charge.
Will Rollins of the Davis boy escaped from Weston Hills last night.
It's all coming apart again.
We'll find him. Keep this thing contained.
This theory has his name written all over it. Literally.
Your dad's name is at the bottom of both of these charts.
Why didn't you tell me about Weston Hills? Do you work there? Because I thought you were a fucking general practitioner.
Yes.
So it makes sense to me that Dr. Campbell is the hidden savior / current villain, anti-hero maybe. Let me know if you agree. But logically, I think this makes sense now.
Number 4.
What's the real story behind Hypnocil? One of the biggest debates I've had in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is about Hypnocil, because we only see it in 2 films. Part 3, The Dream Warriors, and Freddy vs. Jason. But in this film, we actually get a little bit of backstory on it. Now, my debate was that the common misconception was that Weston Hills was solely responsible for supplying this drug, which is not true. Nancy had been taking this dream suppressant drug for years, before she even started working on Weston Hills, which means it was readily available. Even Dr. Neil was going to prescribe it to the Dream Warriors, which I don't see why any of the Dream Warriors thought to get some in the rest of the franchise. I mean, that was the go-to common sense answer. People also argued that it wasn't FDA approved, which is very true. That's even true up until this film.
Hypnocil, experimental drug, not even approved yet by the FDA.
But drugs don't have to be FDA approved to be sold. Off-label prescribing is a common and legal practice in medicine, even by today's standards. I can only imagine 20-something years ago, and even almost 40 years ago in Part 3. But I digress. Let's see what the movie has to say about this. Let's look at this article that Linderman pulls up. It's quite interesting what it says. The 5-4 decision allows drug testing for students who join competitive after-school activities or teams such as debating or the chess club. The court had previously sanctioned such tests for only student athletes. We find that testing students who participate in extracurricular activities is a reasonable effective means of addressing the school's district legitimate concerns in preventing, deterring, and detecting drug use. What does this have to do with Hypnocil? Don't know. Today's ruling answers lingering questions, typo by the way, left after the landmark 1995 ruling that allowed testing of athletes. That decision was left unclear whether schools could test other students or even the entire student body. Such drug testing violated students' privacy rights. Ron Turner, a former student in the local high school, says authorities had no reason to suspect her of drug use when they demanded a urine sample for testing. States that they was testing students and student athletes, and even went to court about it in 1995 because students thought it violated their rights. What does dream suppressing have to do with athletes? The only thing I can logically think of, maybe. Perhaps some of the side effects was affecting their performance? So regardless, it's hard for me to believe that Hypnocil, a dream suppressant drug, has been dished out for nearly 20 years illegally. It just doesn't make sense. Hypnocil is here because it is allowed. It is not exclusive to Weston Hills. And I say almost 20 years because Nancy, again, had it years before the events of Dream Warriors, which was 1987. Fast forward to 2003, they are still dishing out Hypnocil. It's almost 20 years. You don't dish out a drug for 20 years just because it isn't FDA approved. This is coming from somewhere. There is a supplier. So now that we know this has been readily available for almost 20 years, why did it take all the way up to Freddy vs. Jason to revisit this drug? It took 16 years to revisit this drug. And evidently there was a court case about it in 1995, which means that court case took place between the events of 5 and 6 somewhere, because students thought it violated their rights. And evidently the local PD was demanding urine samples of students who might have been taking Hypnocil, which that does make sense since the town tried to cover it up. That actually plays into the story. So I don't think Hypnocil has been this big mystery all this time. It's pretty straightforward. But I do like the small backstory that the film gives us. What do you think about Hypnocil? Nancy had it, Dr. Neal was going to prescribe it.
Elizabeth, I'm prescribing Hypnocil.
And also Dr. Campbell prescribed it. It's a drug on the market. I don't know. I'm getting aggravated. Let's move on.
Number 5.
How did the cops not make the connection to the Youngstown's Federal Morgues massacre? I don't like to backtrack on films too much, but I do often wonder how this was overlooked in Jason Goes to Hell and in this film, because it's just never mentioned again. Now, if we go back to Jason Goes to Hell, I've gotten tons of comments saying Jason Goes to Hell isn't canon, which doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, what? I don't like breaking the fourth wall of this series. That's the whole point of the 10 Things series, is not to break the fourth wall, is to find answers in universe. But even if we do, Jason Goes to Hell is a New Line film. Freddy vs. Jason is a New Line film. Nightmare on Elm Street are New Line films. Freddy pulls Jason's mask down to hell. How is this not canon? You smoking the good cigarettes? Anyway, back on the subject of Youngstown Federal Morgue. If you remember, they flew Jason's remains there. This morgue is in Youngstown, Ohio. Do you know what else is in Ohio? Springwood. Now when Freddy's dead, it actually pinpoints where Springwood is. And surprisingly, these two locations are very close to each other. Now if you remember in the news reports of Jason Goes to Hell, the media and FBI believed that Jason was still alive and still on the loose, even making a massacre trail from Ohio all the way back to Camp Crystal Lake.
Jason Voorhees, dead or deadly? There have been 5 more Jason-style murders on a direct path from the federal morgue in Youngstown, Ohio, where Jason's remains were flown to Crystal Lake.
Now, Jason Goes to Hell should take place around 2003, and Freddy vs. Jason also takes place in 2003. You should be able to watch the ending to Jason Goes to Hell and start this film, and it should be seamless. So the FBI had a statewide search in Ohio and New Jersey looking for Jason, trying to find him, and never did.
Are these men victims of a serial killer only believed to be deceased? Many say yes.
So why is this not mentioned when the cops become suspicious about Jason again?
I've been compiling info based on eyewitness reports of the hockey mask killer. Jason Voorhees, Crystal Lake killer on our hands.
Just saying, if Jason was just on the FBI's most wanted list, still at large, in Ohio and New Jersey, I don't see how the local PD just overlooked this. Anyway, let me know what you think.
Number 6.
Rapid fire round. Why do they dub over Alice's voice? I'll play the clip here. I'll tell you why, because nobody understood what the fuck she said in that movie. Springwood has a soccer team now? Good for them. We're not going to talk about how all these license plates are Canadian. Hello, where's the production designer? Dog, I hate this in horror movies. Dude, I'm not going to sit there and watch Freddy come at me with a fucking machete and just act all scared and sit there and take it. This dude's got one fucking arm. Get up and walk away. Run. Just don't sit there and stare at him for 15 seconds and accept your fate like it's the only option you got. Bitch, get up and run. Also, is this a Jason Goes to Hell house? And before you say no, I'm pretty sure this is. Hear me out. Look at this design. I'll try my best to post a side by side here. So you see this chimney that goes all the way down? It matches. Now you see the 2 windows up here? It matches. You also see this weird part of the awning roof? So Jason is having a dream of the Voorhees house that looks exactly like the Voorhees house in Jason Goes to Hell. Coincidence? Why does Mark have the freedom to just stay at his house? Did the cops not think to check there? Where's his parents? I'm just saying, if I was the sheriff and I knew that Will and Mark escaped Weston Hills, they was going back to Springwood, with all the bullshit going on, the Freddy cover-up, the murders, the hockey mask killer, and I was actively looking for them because they even went to the school. Remember? They set up roadblocks. Nobody gets in, nobody gets out. But yet, the one place they don't check is Mark's fucking house. Fucking stupid.
You sound like a bitch.
What is the status of Camp Crystal Lake? It's hard for me to believe that Jason Goes to Hell and this film takes place in the same year. But it does. I don't make the rules. We see a fair share of the infamous 1428 Elm Street house and good old Springwood. We see the town of Springwood, the school, even Freddy's old boiler room.
Yeah, man. And I heard that Freddy Freaky used to live here.
But we really don't see that much of Camp Crystal Lake, Jason's side of things. We see it at the very end of the film, but not much. But if you look at the fine print, there are some very interesting details. Now when Jason Goes to Hell, Steven says that they tore down some of the cabins.
Well, here's where the camp was. They tore the cabins down a few years ago, but this is the place.
And to some extent, it seems like that is mostly true, because of what we see here in the film. Pay attention to the sign real quick.
God, please. Come
Look!
on, look up.
We're almost there.
This paints the picture pretty clearly. They're turning this camp into a luxury fishing resort, which I guess is part of the reason for the demolition of some of the cabins. We can see another tidbit of information from this real estate sign that we see at the demolition site during the final fight between Freddy vs. Jason.
Hey, asshole!
So luxury fishing cabins, pre-selling now, occupancy spring 2004. Now to me, this is pretty shocking they would do this, considering the massacre that just happened less than a year ago. Because Jason Goes to Hell in this film takes place in the same year. Could you imagine though, Jason wakes up one day and there's all these brand new 2004 fiberglass boats, pristine new cabins, resorts, white picket fences, fancy vehicles, jet skis. They're gonna turn his home into a fucking theme park. Jason would lose his shit. I kinda like the idea if that happened, but if it did, I imagine it would feel like it came straight out of Disney Plus or HBO Max, which isn't always a good thing. But a fancy fishing cabin resort just after a fresh massacre and a statewide search for Jason Voorhees still at large? You buying in? Let me know.
Number 8.
What happened to Blake's little sister? This is a small one here, but take a quick listen at the scene.
What the hell were you doing over there? You were supposed to be watching your sister. Were you drinking?
Now Blake's character is probably irrelevant, but it makes me question some things. For one, I know it's not Jason's MO to kill kids, but despite the last film he tried to kill a toddler, but we'll just ignore that. So if he did ignore Blake's sister, sure, I get it. But why would Freddy ignore her? This would be an ample opportunity to spread your fear. I mean, this is his favorite kind of victim, little girls.
His name is Freddy Krueger, and he loves children, especially little girls.
But yet in this entire movie, he goes after almost fully grown teenagers and Laurie's mom, who is probably in her 40s or 30s at this point. If you tally up the body count in this film, every victim belongs to Jason, except for Mark. A child of younger age, with a little bit wider and open imagination, I think would be the way to go to spread that fear. I mean, Freddy was already invading Blake's dreams at his house. His little sister was a sitting duck. This is your favorite kind of victim, Freddy. This is your MO. You just ignored her? Another weird thing is, Blake's death and his dad's death is mentioned 2 more times in the film, but yet the little sister is never mentioned.
Blake's dead too. Stabbed to death. Same with his dad. Cops said Blake committed suicide. Apparently it was grief over Trey.
So surely this little sister would know of Blake's best friend's death. Talking about Trey's death. But even if you disagree with that, even if she doesn't know, okay, what about her father's death? He was decapitated. What about Blake's death? I mean, the Freddy name has been floating around town aggressively. So surely he would have been a person of interest. Because after the death of the father and brother, surely she's gonna hear Freddy's name. I mean, the cops were saying it.
Freddy Krueger. Hey.
Lori and her friends were saying it.
Freddy. Somebody named Freddy.
Freddy can still get us.
Freddy?
Or Freddy Krueger.
Freddy.
The entire high school knows his name. After Mark's interaction with Lori at the school, big mistake.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Because that's when he comes for you. Back for revenge in our nightmare.
Hell, even the partygoers know about Freddy.
Some guy Krueger killed them both, and I heard that Freddy Freaky used to live here.
All of this within the span of 2 days. So now that this whole town essentially knows about Freddy now, I don't think this little girl would be the exception. And I know the town's trying to cover it up. The parents are still trying to cover it up. Say hush hush, but the cat's out of the bag. So when this little girl, who is never mentioned again, finds her father's decapitated head, her brother's corpse, she's not going to ask who done this. She's not going to hear Freddy's name because he's the main point of interest. She's not going to make that connection. Freddy isn't going to capitalize on this. Why wouldn't Freddy use this? It's the perfect channel. I don't know, it just made me wonder. Also, real quick, what the hell did Jason do for that 24-hour period? I mean, it's weird. I mean, he sneaks into the 1428 Elm Street house. kills Trey, completely ignores the girl that's in the shower. I mean, he even looks that way when she turns the shower off. He just ignores her. Ignores Blake, who was also right beside him when Blake found the back door open. We know that to be true because then we see a POV of Jason going up the steps. The steps are right here. The back door is right here. So ignores Gibb, ignores Blake, ignores Lori, ignores Kia. I mean, shit. What logic is this? But Jason does follow Blake, kills him and the dad. But then for almost 24 hours, he's MIA. He doesn't show back up until the party at the cornfield. I mean, they had a full morning, a whole day at school. So where was he squatting at? What was he doing? Let me know your thoughts.
Number 9.
Who really won this fight? And
Number 10.
and let's talk about the ending of this movie. Normally, I don't like discussing topics that everybody else does. But I'm about to, and we, me and you, are about to go into every detail, every possibility there is, to finally figure this shit out after 22 years. I get asked a lot who I thought won, and I say Jason, hands down. No competition, no argument. Jason literally carried this film. Check the kill tally. Jason has all of them, except for one. And sure, people argue, yeah, well, Jason had help. So, who cares? It doesn't matter the circumstances. Was this battle supposed to have rules? This isn't a boxing match. Jason walked out the victor. Literally. If I got into a fight with somebody, and they walk away with my head in their hand, I didn't win that fight. But, despite me thinking that Jason did win the battle, I still think Freddy won the war. Whatever the final scene that Freddy vs. Jason is supposed to suggest, Freddy will be going back to Springwood to slaughter more kids. Matter of fact, the end game was won by Freddy way early into the film. When Mark told Lori about the legend of Freddy Krueger at Springwood High, and now every teenager there knows about Freddy. So even if he does get defeated here, he still has tons and tons of kids at that high school that he can use to invade their dreams, thus making him more powerful so he can just come back. That scene alone will give him enough strength to come back when the circumstances are right. So even though this is the last of Freddy's story in this continuity, the cycle will just repeat itself, and Freddy will be back. But what about Jason? What does the ending scene really mean when Jason pops out of the water with Freddy's head? Let's dig through and break down some of the theories that have been submitted in the comments. Number 1. The end sequence is Jason's dream. This actually makes sense in a way. If Jason is now comatose in the bottom of that lake, this could work. This could also tie in to the oddball films like Jason X. It just being one big old prank or Jason's delusion dream put on by Freddy to keep Jason at bay so that Freddy will have enough time to power back up and makes his way back home. But I don't think this has enough ammunition behind it. Here's why. Jason is undead. He doesn't sleep. If he can survive being thrown out of the van, taking rebar to the body, multiple stabs by Freddy, including the head, being set on fire twice, etc., I don't think taking a little breather in the lake constitutes a coma. But what do you think? Is that your headcanon? Let's move on. Number 2. This is the true end to Freddy. So let's look at this at the other perspective. If there is no dream sequence, if this is still real life, that will mean that Freddy is not dead, which means that he cannot re-enter anybody's dreams or the dream realm. Freddy would just be his head stuck in limbo. He's legit just a severed head that's going to be in one of Jason's cabins as a damn trophy. He's doomed to sit there right beside Pamela's head somewhere, being Jason's little bobblehead until the end of time. Number 3. Freddy and Jason are once again back in hell. Now this is personally my headcanon, the theory that I pick, not because it's the most logical, but rather the most entertaining. So this iconic scene of Jason rising out of the water with Freddy's head, and Freddy winking. Instead of you thinking that this takes place again at Camp Crystal Lake, this is rather hell. The eeriness of the fog, the smoke, and this will lead them on another battle except for in hell. Because despite Jason Goes to Hell, or the beginning of this film where Freddy's saying I had to search the bowels of hell, we never actually get to see hell, or do we? Right here the possibilities are endless. You can go anywhere with this. I mean, do you know how many horror movie characters have been sent to hell? Jason, Pinhead and the Cenobites, Leprechaun of all people, and as evil as Michael is, I mean that's a given. You can even tie in Ash and the Evil Dead with the Necronomicon, finally bringing this famous comic book to life. But it all starts if you really believe this theory. So is this Jason's dream? Is this still real life? Or did they actually wake up in hell where they belong? Where that journey's gonna go and get fucking bonkers. Thank you guys so much for taking part of your day to kick it with me. You know I appreciate it. I will be doing the fucking remake next. Woo. With that being said, if you have any theories, feel free to post them in the Discord. The Discord is free. It's just a fun hangout spot. But if you have a theory that I really like and holds some weight, I'll credit you in the video. I also have YouTube membership where I do monthly giveaways, live streams, you get custom emotes, custom loyalty badges. If you want some exclusive content for yourself, feel free to join, but don't feel obligated. I appreciate you. Adios.